And we're live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We bring to you the fourth episode installment of the H.I.T Dubai, and H.I.T being the human investment technology, where we talk everything to do with human beings, our interactions with the world, our performance, our relationships, and basically, discuss it openly, casually, on what we could do, some tips, share some tips, invite some people on stage as well to talk about life in general, what we can do better, what we learn from, and how can we move forward really with hopes that this would help someone who's watching this right now. So you're welcome. Rich, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Really good to be back on. We've been getting some really good feedback on the show. This is episode number 4. It's a continue on from last week's episode. We had so much interaction, which was amazing, and we had the wonderful Andrea, and we might even get her on a little bit in a little bit also if she's available, which I've sent her the message. But no, really good. And I think today's episode, if I may say, is what are you focusing on? And it stemmed from last week's conversation with Rocco, our friend from the Jumper Punch, and big plug out to him. And maybe you can explain a little bit where we're going with the direction from what he said, and then give it across. Because today's really exciting. I'm very, very happy. And we've got just a big hello from our friend Joe in Bangkok.
Hey,
we've got people watching all around the world, mate.
That's great. That's great. Welcome. So to take off on our last episode we had last week, and we had a discussion on what's really pulling our attention, what are we focusing on. So, and that's really what inspired today's episode, what really matters to you. And so we felt inspired to actually bring that to life, because let's face it, when you're focusing on something, and usually or typically it's something that's pulling us back, something negative, something that we rather not focus on and focus on something more positive. We felt that, the focus, or where we're placing our focus, is so important, especially in times of that we're living in right now, and growth in creating new results, creating new realities, so to speak. So I felt that focus is a key thing to focus on, because let's face it, when you focus on something specific that you want, that something can expand. And how do we know that to be true? I mean, let's put it out there. Have you ever had a negative thought, and all of a sudden you find yourself focusing so deeply on it, and we're attached to it, we're connected to it, and we don't know why we keep thinking about it. Like maybe someone at work, looked at you funny or said something that you didn't like, maybe even something at home that you were going through, that took your attention. And so focus is a very powerful thing when we catch ourselves off guard, so to speak, or unaware, or even unconscious, where it takes all our energy, all our time, especially in the world of social media, where we're constantly looking at things. Everyone's really jumping to get our attention, and it's become really easy to get our attention to a large degree. And we find ourselves spending so much time on that. And let's face it, everything in the news are attention grabbers. And for the most part, the news shows really know this, that if it's negative, then it's something that you want to focus on, something that's going to get your attention. And so when we focus on so much negativity, all of a sudden we're down that alleyway of negativity, and that consumes us and takes most of our energy. So that's what we're really focusing on today, and put a spotlight on.
Hey, just a quick thing. We've got a message from our friend Rocco, who started this conversation from last week. He says, "Hey guys, I'm focusing on you guys." I thought that was pretty cool. I'm hoping your internet connection's okay, because you were freezing a little bit there, Sam. So just to put it out there. Couple of things quickly, and firstly, guys out there, please like, share, follow the page. this just might help someone that's going through something, and you know, maybe they're like what Sam was saying before, focusing their energy somewhere else. And when you focus on what you don't want, more than likely you get more of it. So this is a really good point. There's another thing that we usually say in the NLP world. It says what is it? Where energy goes,
yeah,
where focus goes.
Where your focus goes, energy flows. So basically, yeah, you're really, whatever you're focusing on, really is gonna, get hijacked. It hijacks your attention and you focus on it. And as human beings, if it's important or it sounds different, peculiar, or just outright, just jumping at us, we'll see it, we'll focus on it. And when we focus on it, that's really a hijack of your time. And so in a world where you want to think of evolution and growth and, going out to get what you're looking for, then it's probably the best investment to focus on what you do want rather than what you don't want.
Yeah. Great point. It's a great point. And here's the other thing. This is what we're stemming from last week, what I wanted to mention, is that the whole social media thing, and we're on it right now, right, is the focus is on likes. And when you think about it, that stemmed from what Rocco was saying last week. It's unbelievable that we have this focus that nothing can be, everything needs to be more perfected and stuff. So interested to see what you think of that. And a big hello to Lana, and Lana Owens says hello, Rich and Sam.
Hello. So taking up from that point, that sparked a very interesting conversation last week that Rocco brought up. And in my view, there's two ways of looking at it. When you focus, there are vanity metrics. And of course, we're all human beings, okay? We all want to belong. We all want to know or seek some form of validation that what we're doing is right. So yes, you can be taken away by likes and followers, absolutely, right? But on the flip side, if you have a competitive nature, okay, I don't think there's anything wrong with that personally, as long as it doesn't hijack your attention in a wrong way. That's competition. Like, I do want to see how well I'm doing. I do want to know what the feedback is from the people consuming my content. I want to know these things because it helps me grow. It helps me align and modify. So if you're looking at that through a productive lens, an honest critique, then that's going to help you. But if you take it as pure vanity, like, oh, I'm just great, and and you walk around with this cockiness, this arrogance, I think that's not really the purpose of that. Anyone who's watching this from the sports world, athletes, look out for other players. Just like boxers, before they box a new opponent, they check out what they do. They check out their moves. And so that's some form of validation to see, oh, okay, so this is what they do. Let me see how I can counter that or get better at this that will give me a better shot. So I see that, Rocco, at least to answer his question, and on a flip side, complete polar opposite, is that you could use that for competition, okay? If it's a healthy competition, you do want to know what's out there. You want to know who you're competing with. And so that helps, especially when you're growing, especially when you're going out to get what you want. So your focus is there, not on vanity to make you feel cocky and arrogant. It's about what's the market doing right now? So I know what to do. And of course, followers, likes is an indication that people are consuming your content, they're watching you. And the longer they do that, at least you're doing something right, and then you can start to pick and modify. So I mean that really in the sense of competition, healthy competition, and placing your focus where it counts, rather than looking at it and really destroying yourself and feeling miserable by people are not liking it, what have you. I mean, this is our 4th episode, Rich, right? And we're just starting off. Of course, there's the kind people that are watching right now. I hope they're enjoying this content in some way, and we hope to get better and better and better as we go. But we can only do that, of course, with your help and your share.
Well, we're trying to get better and better, and you're freezing a little bit there, so you need to get better with your internet connection. But it's because we're focusing on what is better. We don't focus on. We're not going to focus on your internet. We're going to focus on improving it. Listen, I've got a big hello from Andrea, and I already sent her a message. She's watching. I wanted to come on because she's a continuum of last week's episode. And we'll put the link in the chat also. She's got the links. We'll get her on a little bit later. And focusing on the energy and where we're focusing on, I think the key thing is, what I wanted to say is, unconsciously this happens. So people might be looking and watching going, all right, that's good, Rich and Sam. That's good. Yeah, I understand that, but how do I stop it? It's the common thing. I think I told you yesterday, I worked with a woman here that was scared of cats. And she's focusing, what's her focus, right? And I kid you not, and I'm happy to do a demonstration anytime online because it's so easy to get rid of someone's phobia like that. And we could do an episode for that down the track. But she was focusing on the fear, right? And until we had to do a couple of techniques, we got rid of that. So it's such an interesting subject, but I think it's not only it's a paradigm shift. It's that we're so used to, even if we think we're positive people, that we still focus on some negatives. And this is when you're consciously aware of that and go, okay, now I'm focusing on this. Should I be focusing on this, or should I be focusing on what I want? Do you remember this, Sam, when we did our course many years ago? That we had almost like a straight line. And this way is I focus on what I don't want. And this way is where I focus on what I do want. So when you're aware and you're consciously aware of it, going, hey, I'm focusing on what I don't want. I need to be focused on what I want. That is the wisdom there. So absolutely. Yeah, I just want to put it out there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, listen, first I have to apologize for the glitchy screen. I got to do something about that. So please forgive me if my video kind of glitches or there's a little bit of a lag. Howdy, David.
Yeah, no, we've got a few people watching, which is really good. Guys, go out there, share it. I'm gonna get Andrea on. I'm gonna send her a message shortly.
Yeah. In the meantime,
so carry on.
While you do that,
while I do this,
I'm gonna actually focus on what you said on the straight line, moving towards versus moving away from. Yeah. Let's put an example. Let's give an example out there. When you're worried about paying your rent at the end of the month, right? So you've got a couple of weeks and the rent is due, and that thought enters your mind. It's like, oh, I got to focus on paying the rent, right? So and it's nearing. So it gets you a little bit edgy, gets you a little bit irritated, and then but you find yourself constantly focusing on paying the rent. I gotta pay the rent, right? Or whatever expenses that you have where you're obligated to, pay it. So that clearly takes up some real estate in your mind. And what you're essentially doing is you're moving away from it, right? Because you want to deal with other things. However, your attention, and that's a key point here, your attention is still on, I gotta pay the rent. Okay, so what happens then?
It's a real thing. Let's just put it out there. I mean, you got to pay the rent, of course. It's a real thing.
So it's a real thing. Okay, now we're not negating the fact that you don't have to pay your rent. Of course you do, and any obligation or commitments that you have. But if I keep thinking about that constantly, that's not really going to help me much, because where's my attention going? It's just there. Okay, now what do I need to actually pay the rent? I need to make more money. I need to meet new people. I need to network. I need to do all kind of stuff where I can get more money, okay, and make more money. So my focus, or better use of my energy, is to focus on how I can get more money, or making sure that that new check that someone's paid me with clears up very quickly. So I'm gonna focus that investment, okay, towards making more money.
Can I say actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and in regards to an athlete, right? And there's a couple of people that watch and they're into the football, and I have a friend, he's a coach that's watching also.
Yep.
If you have a footballer and he's kicking for goal and he keeps on missing, and he keeps on missing, what do you think he's focusing on?
Missing the next goal.
Correct. So, as a coach, what do you think I would tell him? So would I tell him to focus on? No, you can't. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, Rich, I cut you off. You're absolutely right. Focus on what it is that you prefer to have instead. Okay. Like I said, focusing on how to get more money. Okay. No one's removing that thought away of paying your bills. It's always going to be there. Right? The question is, I need to focus my energy so I can put my time on where it's needed the most, which is making more money. And in the case of playing and football and goals, whatever it is, or making a certain play, I want to focus on that play because that play is going to help me move forward. And so everything applies to this applies to everything in life. On where you focus your attention. Now, having said that, I know it sounds easier said than done. Okay, so for those skeptical, and yes, like Rich was saying, this idea is real. We all have bills to pay. We've got issues. We've got challenges, and let's face it takes up our energy. It takes up our energy, and something in our subconscious or unconscious mind makes us feel that if we don't think about this long enough, then I'm not planning better, or I'm not, or I don't care. Okay, and there's a very subtle difference. Okay, we're not saying these bills don't have to be paid, or a certain relationship can't get better. Okay, but what we're saying is we're a product of where we place our focus. Okay, now if you dwell on a bad relationship or a bad play, then you're going to get more of that. Because that's
the energy goes there. Yeah, well, the energy goes in that negative space.
Absolutely. And when it goes in that negative space, guess what happens? It starts to expand. Have you ever had where you had a little negative thought and you gave it your attention, you entertained it, and all of a sudden, negative thought starts to grow and grow. And then all of a sudden, you've got this narrative, I call it a false narrative, where you blow it out of proportion. All of a sudden, what started off as a tiny little negative thought becomes this huge whirlwind of a drama series going on in your head. And the same applies to sports. It's like, oh no, this is not going to work. And guess what? If you know deep down and you create the narrative that it's not going to work, or it's horrible, or this is like horrendous, why is this happening to me? Then it's very likely that you will continue that narrative being proven correct, which means that you will not end up paying your rent. So there's a high chance you will not pay or make paying your rent or making that play because your attention is focused there. And on an unconscious level, your whole body starts to conspire to actually prove you correct. Now, that's a horrible thought, I know. But
we've got to give them the solutions, Sam. We've got to give them the solutions, and just want to say we've got Andrea waiting. We're going to get her on very shortly. But go ahead. Or maybe she can jump in and help us with the solution and give us some ideas. What do you think? Up to you.
So the flip side is it's so liberating to know that if it can happen on a negative, slide, then it can happen on a positive slide too. Okay. Just place your focus on what you do want, okay? And then that will also expand. That's a universal law, okay? Now, before we actually continue and get Andrea as well, I also wanted to mention the fact that by default, as human beings, we default from our animal brain or reptilian brain to seek out the threats, okay? We're constantly in a mode of survival first, which means that that what if question always pops up. Like, what if I don't pay the rent? What if I don't make that great play? What if? We're doing that because on a deep, embedded, unconscious level, we're actually looking out for threats. If this play goes bad or horribly wrong, what's my exit? So our conscious mind is constantly calibrating, okay? That's the beauty and the power of it, really, on what's gonna happen next. Okay, so that comes in innate, it's inbuilt, and that's a survival mechanism, okay? Because we fear rejection, We fear being thrown out of society or an outcast. And those are valid fears to some degree. But once you know what's actually happening, then you can begin to toy and play and explore a different avenue. Like, okay, if that's true, then let me give it a shot by focusing on what I do want, even if it's a small thing, and see how that plays out. 9 times out of 10, it'll give you a good ending. It'll give you a good result. Trust me on this. And if there's anyone listening, I give you an exercise to do. Just for the next day, starting tomorrow, okay, wherever you happen to be, starting tomorrow morning, just focus on that one thing that you created in your mind that you want to have done, and focus all your attention there, all your attention, and see what happens after that. I promise you that you're gonna get an amazing outcome. It could be in a relationship, it could be playing some practice ball with your friends on the field, whatever it is, but focus all your attention, like I'm focusing, talking to you right now, and see what happens then.
Practice ball, I love that. That's so North American. Just wanted to put that out there. Hey, listen, I'm going to add Andrea into the stream. I just want to put it out there, guys that are watching. Like, share, put your comments in. If there's something you're struggling with, here's the forum right now. What are you focusing on? I want to see it in the comments. You can do that now. It's a bit of a suggestion, by the way, hypnotic one. And let's get Andrea in, and she's got a big smile all the way from the Sunshine Coast. Welcome.
Yes. Hello. I was 110% not expecting to be on here today. I had, you know this, Rich, I had a pretty big night last night, not partying or anything, but I had my 9-year-old daughter break her elbow, so we were in the hospital until 2:30 this morning.
I've seen that on your story. And for those that are watching, that's because she loves me very much that I've given her last minute, said, hey, Andrea, would you jump on? So yeah. I appreciate that. Very much.
So I've got the lack of sleep and bit disheveled look going on, but you know me, Rich. I'm a girl that likes to turn up as is. So this is it. This is me. Hey everyone, thanks for saying good day. It's great to be here again, and yeah, love tuning in to what you're saying because so much of it resonates. So that's fantastic. So yeah.
Very good. So what are your thoughts just on what we've been talking about? And this is obviously stemmed from last week with Rocco. And we've actually asked people in the audience to put out there and what they're focusing on, what they're working on, and maybe we can give some advice from our perspective.
Yeah, so I guess that like I will always come back to the slight difference. Obviously, we have the mind and what we focus on and what we see, and I'm all for visualization. I have created things in my own life basically by journaling them, which is a form of actually visualization and having it written out before it's actually appeared in reality and then it's turned up. So I've done that numerous times, and I absolutely 110% believe in the power of manifestation through seeing how you want things to be and it lining up. Yeah. The added bit is for me over the journey is around the belief thing. And I feel like the practice of seeing it, that maybe initially having that visualization of how you want things to be. So whether it's paying your bill or whatnot, like Sam was saying, excuse me, being able to see it, and yet that brain that looks out for the fear might creep in there. But the more that we do it, it's like that muscle, isn't it? It's like, obviously I see Sam has a fair bit up there about working out with weights and stuff like that. So, that's repetition in terms of our physical being. But how do we do that for our emotional, spiritual, and mental being? And it is that commitment to being able to focus on it often enough that the belief, you might not have the belief at the start, but that's the way that we can kind of tripwire our brain into recognizing that can be a reality. And I think that, yeah.
And I was going to ask you, because there's probably, people that are watching that they've been in such a rut.
Yeah.
right? And this is where, you know, we can all maybe help in this way. They've been such a rut that they're thinking, I can't even see that. And I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that would have, you know, going, well, what do I do? My mind keeps on taking me to this unconsciously.
So again, the tweak that I always have, and you know this in me, Rich, is that I'm not so much about the mind, I'm about the heart. So for me, the other thing that was coming up when you were talking was that when we are fixated on the outcome, because there's a fixation with the outcome, we can want a certain outcome, but when we have an expectation or we're fixated on it, that can actually sabotage the very thing that we want. When we can learn to let go, and I'm not saying that this is for everybody, like this is the thing that I really want to be clear about. This is me and this is my experience. Like today's the 15-year anniversary since my husband passed away. Like I've been there and had to choose to move through the trauma, because I could be still sitting there rocking back and forth. I could be. But we have to be able to get to a point that we want to feel different and then be able to work with that, and that letting go of the fixation of how we want life to be, and first being able to accept how life is. Because the resistance to accepting how it is, you miss the winning goal and lose the premiership, or you have a partner cheat on you, or you experience trauma in some way. Like each one of those is a hardship in its own way. Some, you know, we won't scale it, but what's similar about all of those is that you can't change them. You can't change the past. You can't change those experiences. And for it to not continue to interfere with the future, you have to find a level of acceptance that life is maybe not how you expected it to be. And then come into that place of being able to take back control of how do I want the future to be. And that comes down to pure and simple choice. And sometimes that feels like shit when someone says, well, it's a choice, because the choice feels exceptionally hard. And I don't deny that. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying there's no other way really to change your outcomes than choosing initially to be the creator of your own destiny.
Amazing. We've got a couple of questions coming through. Guys, keep on sending the questions in the chat group. Whilst we got the opportunity here, myself, Sam, and Andrew will do our best to help you. There's a question there for either of you guys. Do you think focusing can create a reality? As in, if you dream about it, it will happen? It's a woo-woo type thing there, Andrea.
Do you want me to go or you go, Sam? What's your thoughts on that, Sam?
Cool. I mean, listen, I want to jump on what you said. Actually, you caught my attention when you said the word, heart-based and then feeling. Okay, I think that's huge, and I think, and this is my view, many people are not successful because they don't know what it feels like to be successful. Like they haven't been there in the future to actually know what it feels like. And so you mentioned like the gym, for example. Okay, I do a lot of repetitions. We call them reps. I'm sure everyone knows what that means. It's a repetition of doing a certain exercise that will prime your body to know what that range of motion feels like. And the more you do it, the better you get at it, the bigger your muscles will grow, you get more agile. So I'm just giving you a quick gym metaphor, but it applies to everything. What does success feel like? What is it that you want? What does it feel like? Going back to that question about dreaming and focusing, can it create a new reality? If you ask me, absolutely. Absolutely. But you need to prime yourself on what that looks like, feels like, sounds like. So take a sneak preview, if you will, of what you actually want as well. Ask people who have already done it. For example, if you want to become a professional public speaker, you want to become a great player in your ranks, and you want to meet and ask questions to a player who has shot many goals and knows how to do certain plays. Ask them, and what you're doing when you ask them is you're getting a sneak preview of what it feels like in their world. And I felt, thanks, Andrea, when you mentioned that heart-based, feeling-based. I think a lot of the times we don't know how to get out of a rut because we don't know what it feels like to get out of that rut. Oftentimes, so we, and I don't blame human beings. We default into this survival, and because we're protecting this threat, this fear that comes from the outside, and so that's the natural thing to do at that point. But then moving forward, it's perhaps we want to ask ourselves some different questions, like, what does this feel like if I actually get out of here? What does it feel like to pay all my bills on time or have that money in advance? Like, what does that feel like? Let's create a new sneak preview in our world. Sorry, it's a little bit of
that's a really good point. Hey, Sam, guys, go ahead, Andrew. We've got loads of questions, and I'm just going to put it out there. If anyone wants to jump in, I'm going to put the StreamYard link. It's a really good opportunity. We've got probably another 15, 20 minutes to go. So I'm going to put the StreamYard link. Anyone's got a question, it's okay. You don't have to come on. You want to come on, great. If not, totally cool. But we're going to go through these questions. Sam, Andrea, please look at the bottom of the screens as I put the questions up. Go ahead, Andrea.
So, yeah, I think it's really important what you're saying there, Sam, in terms of, like, for me, I believe it's that feeling that creates the belief. And if you don't have the feeling, it's hard to believe. And believe is the key. To me, that belief is the key to creating the change that you want. I personally believe we can think about it, and we can visualize it, and we can write it out, journal it, see it. But if we do not instinctively begin to believe that we are capable or deserving or whatever it is, you will continue to see it and never achieve it. The key element is belief. And for me, what can help with that is, again, coming back to that, letting go of the outcome. And what I mean by that is letting go of the outcome of what it means about us if we don't achieve it. Because that's the thing that sabotages us, the meaning we're making about not paying our bills or not being successful or not having this or not being more together, or it's the meaning we make and that how it touches the core of our identity that changes the belief. And it's an energetic thing, like you talk about. It's an energetic thing. Like, so again, the other thing that I was thinking of before when you're talking about the feeling, when we're discussing the feeling, how do we want to feel each and every day will instinctively create the success we're after, whatever that looks like. Success doesn't create the feeling. We create the feeling and experience success, in my opinion. And so how do we create that feeling? Like, so in your career, in your relationship, in anything, how do you want to feel within your skin? When you are facing adversity, how do you want to feel? When you are facing success, how do you want to feel? In every single moment, how do we want to feel? Because you can't create amazing things and have a magnificent breakthroughs if you're feeling really low vibe and feeling really stuck and not believing that there's any way out. They don't correspond. You have to get them to come into alignment, and that's where the head, the heart, and the soul being in alignment of thinking about what we want to achieve, knowing we can achieve it, and that broader picture of what we're here for to achieve on a bigger scale, sort of thing. So anyway, I need to stop talking quite so much.
All right. Question there for you, Sam. It's from David the Handyman. How do I keep up? There's loads of comments, and there's another comment for you, Andrew, so we just go through these.
Yeah, let's jump on this. So David, how do you keep focus without your mind going all over the place? First of all, our mind does go all over the place. I don't think there's anything stopping that. You've got a whole bunch of thoughts, and it naturally follows a stream. Okay, without getting too deep into the neuroscience of that or the meditative science of that, thoughts will keep coming through. And I will tell you this, each thought, like a cloud passing by, is all coming to get your attention. Okay, it's all trying to hijack your attention in your ecosystem. Okay, I call it the real estate of your mind. And so if it keeps passing through, what are you going to entertain? Because thoughts, we cannot stop thoughts from entering our mind. They keep floating there because we're a product of this ecosystem called Earth, and it's all around us. Like there's so much stimulus, and these stimulus create thoughts, and these thoughts create patterns. So whatever you entertain, you'll start to get more and more of. Now, that's a double-edged sword. If you're focusing on a lot of bad, perhaps negative type of energy-inducing thoughts, then you're going to get more of those. Okay, and but on the flip side, the liberating aspect of it is if you focus on the smile, the positivity, the optimism that's out there, then it's equally said you can get more of that too. So I think the focus here really is, where are you placing your focus on which thoughts you want to entertain? Hope that's answered your question.
It does, and I think that goes to the next point. Is he says here, thank you so much, David, for putting it out there. He says, I continually think of rubbish. It annoys the life out of me. And I just want to say on this, from my point of view, is that what you say is what you get. And what I say this, I've read, there's a famous book out there. I don't know how famous it is. It's called Don't Be Hung by Your Tongue. So really careful of what you say. I'm sure, Andrea, you agree with me, and Sam, that when you say I continually think of rubbish, and I'm not saying, to be delusional, that you're not thinking of bad thoughts. It's two-pronged here, but be careful of the way you say things. And if you're thinking of rubbish, or you're thinking that's the case, then I would say that you need guidance to help get rid of that negative baggage. That's all. I really implore that sort of thing. I don't, guys, if you want to add to that.
Well, I just wonder whether I continually think of rubbish, it annoys the life out of me, actually holds a few answers within itself. And just exploring that, like what happens if it's not rubbish? Like what happens if there's just some questions you could ask about why you keep going there, and maybe, there's a payoff that you get from going there, and exploring maybe what that payoff is. And like instead of looking at it as if it's a negative thing, just be really inquisitive about it. That's interesting. I'm thinking that thing again. I wonder why that is. Opposed to that energy of I'm getting this wrong and it's really shitting me up the wall. It's like, hang on, let's just relax and be inquisitive about this. Go, oh, here we go. I can see that thought coming in again. I wonder what that's here for, because I think sometimes we can get a bit caught up in, I'm not where I should be. I'm not thinking the way I should be. I'm not living the life I should be. And what happens if we actually really are, and we're in the perfect place for this moment, but the next moment we want to be in a different place, and how do we get there? What's the difference that we could create to get there, sort of thing?
Isn't that a thing where we tend to be upset with things? And I just want to put it out there. It's usually got to do with our own expectations, right? It's because someone's fed that to me. I need what? I'm 40 years old. I need to have $1 million by 40. That idea would have happened when you were 20 years old, or someone told you. So all of these things it's not supposed to be like that. Relationship should be like this. Or that person's not supposed to die, or whatever it is. It's based on an expectation. So
expectations are the root of all evil, as far as I'm concerned.
What's that? Sorry?
Expectations are the root of all evil.
Ooh, I
That's
love
what
that.
hurts it. That's what hurts us the most, expecting life and ourselves to be different than what we are. Doesn't mean we can't change what we're experiencing, but placing an expectation on ourselves like that, or on our life situations, like that's what causes the heaviness. That's what causes the, whacking ourselves with a stick that we're not good enough.
That's really interesting. And yeah, I'm just going to put out another comment here. There's so many comments, which is really great. There's one here for you, Andrea, and it's from Marie. So if you can have a look at that.
That's a really good question. That's a
great one.
Really good question. so my interpretation, so I'm never tell anybody what their interpretation is, because yours will be yours, but destiny is something that I create. Fate is something that's destined to happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so,
it does make sense.
So fate was my husband dying. That was just fate. That was already planned out. I had no say in that. What I've created since, in terms of an amazing life, remarried, all that was my destiny. I was destined.
Destiny is also that your new husband has the same name.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I've married two
which is unbelievable when you think about it.
Certainly makes it much easier. Don't call out the wrong name or call the wrong name. So, it's always a good safeguard to have, Don't want to call John Andrew or Michael Tim, So,
all right, here's another question here from Gina. She says here, how do you keep that belief when you continually are getting smashed? It's 10 steps forward and then being 10 or 20 backwards.
So I guess for me, I always like to reverse engineer the question. I don't even know if it's reverse engineer, but like if I was with Gina, I would say, well, how do you keep that belief? Because I'm a believer that we have the answers within us. So it's not for us to say, how do you keep the belief? It's for us to help you come to that conclusion yourself of how you can keep believing in who you are while external environments are smashing you. And I'm not saying that's easy.
No, it's not.
That's easy.
Can I just say there's a thing we do in NLP. It's called anchoring. I don't know if anyone knows what anchoring is, but it's like creating a particular stance or facial or whatever it is to get you to, and you can use that when you're focusing on what you want. I got an interesting story. I was talking to is a famous footballer. His name is Basha Houli, which I've had a lot to do with. And I was asking one day, I said, what do you do? When the goals are going against you and etc., or you've given away a free kick or whatever it is. And he told me, he goes, I've got my own internal anchoring system. And he goes, if I've stuffed up, I missed a goal or whatever it is, I put on this face. It's like, smile. That's okay. I'm going to deal with it. And these are little techniques that we can do within us. And he's done it unconsciously. We do it as a strategy when we're helping people. But I just put it out there that we can all have our own internal tools, as what Andrea was saying before. It's because it's all in there. All the answers are in there. So, yeah. Sammy, I'm going to get you on. We've got a couple of other comments here. David Handyman, yes. We are what we eat. Yeah. We are what we think. And a couple of love there from Andrea. Sorry, I'm just putting all the comments on there. God. And here's one from Maritz. I think he loves your answer regarding destiny.
I just made that up on the spot. You can make it mean whatever.
It's the way you usually work.
It is such a good question, and that's why these things are so good, because we start to think and feel into what life is really about, which is fantastic.
I'm loving the fact that Sam is getting a bit of a Aussie lesson here, because you've said a couple of words like shits you up the wall, and I'm sure he doesn't know what that means. But
I think you could work it out.
So what do you think, Sam? Just a quick thing, and while we're talking about focus, and I mentioned the story about the footballer Basha, like what he does. When you're working with clients, also do you create that almost like manufacture a way of that person to change the state? Because this is what we're talking about. When you're focusing, you might be focusing on the negative. What do we need to do to change the state? I usually use music.
Oh my gosh. I was going to say that before. I was going to go, these guys will know exactly what I'm talking about, because I think that music is such a magnificent natural antidepressant. It's not funny. But carry on.
Well, exactly. And here's what I suggest for the ones that are a little bit older. Put on the Bee Gees, Staying Alive, right? Do You Walk, with the swag. And I'm telling you, that song has got so much energy, it ain't funny. So, I mean, what's that, Sam?
Or Van Halen, come on,
Yeah, jump. You just want to jump. Isn't it amazing how music can just, and I want to move this now with the focus, but with the state, and Andrea, you know, I've been watching a lot of your videos with what you're doing with, you know, going on the beach and you listen to music, but maybe you guys can tell us you can tell us a little bit about what music does to you to change your state, to keep you aligned, or from your perspective.
Me or Sam?
No, you first and then Sam.
I think it's just something that gets the endorphins going. I don't know whether it's the words of the song. Like, I'm not very good in remembering bands or like know anything about beats, or I don't know, all the technical stuff that you guys probably know about.
Yeah.
But it just changes the way that I feel. Like, it just does. Like, I can be like a bit sluggish and just think, especially, you know, if anybody's watching the global environment at the moment, Australia is not kind of probably the best place to be. There's lots of places not great to be, but Australia is certainly not on the let's go visit their list. And so that, you know, there's an element of there's only so much of that you can escape because it's real. But I don't know, in those moments of when I have got music on, and whether it's a sadder song that just makes me quite, you know, it's not all about being uplifted and high. There's lots of songs that do that, and I start dancing like a crazy woman. But I don't know, it just connects. It's like it's like food for my soul. And so, you know, other people might write, like writing does that a little bit for me as well. But people might take photos, or, you know, I'm sure that happens in some ways in the gym for you, Sam. Like, you know, otherwise you probably wouldn't keep doing it. Like, it's the way in which it helps us connect to ourselves, because that's the point of peace. And I think that's what we're mostly craving, isn't it? Is that place of peace, of feeling comfortable in our own skin, so that then whatever out there happens, we're in a place of being able to think more clearly and be more rational and respond more effectively. And, you know, that's what we need to focus on, is that how do we come back to that inner balance, inner alignment and stuff. So I don't know, music just does that.
I think, just because I think I could put my hand up as the music expert here, but there's something about frequency, right? And if you want to go into kilohertz and you go into the technical side, that it does something to your brain, just like possibly what coffee does to you, right? It triggers something. Same thing with the music. Now, you can listen to meditation music and it puts you into that state also. Or you can feel like music, like what Sam was talking about. This is probably a good topic for next week with the energy and music. But where it just puts you in this state. And that could be nostalgia. Isn't that amazing how you can think of a song and a time? Like how that's connected. Like, oh yeah, I remember that song. I've got a song. I remember Roxette. She's Got the Look. And that reminds me of being at the beach, and it was the summer hit of that year. You know, there's so many things that. What's that, Sam?
Yeah, it's an anchor, Rich. I mean, you were touching on that point from NLP. It's an anchor. Like you've heard it. If it's a song that you've heard several times, it'll take you back to that feeling. And whether it was a great feeling, then that's going to amplify. If it was great, you know, like you're mentioning, you know, Bee Gees and stuff, you know, like that's what music is a powerful transducer. It will, and depending on the sensitizing event at that time when you first heard it, that will dictate what kind of trance you're going to have, what kind of event you're going to have. It's going to put you in that zone fairly quickly. And I think it's not just music. It's also sometimes food? I think it's food. I think it's the words people say, specific words. I think it's, believe it or not, the way people look. Like, for example, I was looking at Andrea while she was talking, and perhaps it's the way that she put her hair to the side instead of down.
On the big screen.
Oh, wow. You can't have to tell her into bed at 2:30 this morning.
The focus is on you, Andrea. So,
do you think it's got something to do with the five senses, Sam? Like absolutely. When you think, like, and how they intertwined in terms of, you know, like taste and sight and sound and everything is so intertwined, and the way that they work together to change our mood and our emotions and stuff like that. It's
totally, even colors do it.
Yeah.
Colors, everything you see, sight, smell, hear, taste, touch, feel, like it's all playing into this orchestra of a feeling. And the beauty is we can recreate this. Like we can recreate these scenarios. You know what I mean? And the way we can do that, I'll give you a hint, is if you can create it in here without sounding cheesy, you can create that out there, but you got to give it intensity. Amplify that feeling if it means a lot to you. If it means like making that play, stepping up, level up, whatever it is, internalize it. Really, like as if it's happening. I'm starting to sound like Joe Dispenza right now, but it's like that's it. It's that, you know. Because, and the reason being, if I can just finish this thought, if we have the power to think and about something and call back and play back something that happened in the past, be it negative or positive, and it feels so real and vivid, then I was just using the power of memory. Then surely we can do that with the power of our imagination in the future if we want to recreate it. It all comes down to the intensity and how much we really believe in that.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is dreams can come true. And we're saying that because we're positive guys. But I think we've all sort of like experienced it within our careers, in that focusing on what we want and surrounding yourselves with different people. Again, that's a feeling. If you want to talk about the five senses, colors, all these sort of things link into the way you see your reality. Okay, so one thing I want to mention as we start, we're going to wrap up very shortly. If you got any more questions, the last chance, let's put it out there. Anyone wants to join in? We're going to be closing up. We're going to be finishing up shortly. But Rich, one thing I want, yeah.
Can I just jump in? We always get inspired by this, you know, today's episode on future episodes, and I think I wrote down a few ideas, like between phobias, talking about energy, and music. And just as a sign from the audience, please write down in the chat, like, out of those three, which ones do you think are, you know, you'd like to hear more about, we could talk about together? That would be great to get your feedback on those three: phobias, energy, or music. Maybe it's something else entirely different. Please put it in the chat box. And Andrea, please feel free if there's something specific that's on your mind you'd like to talk about too.
I think I know what she wants, by the way, because I think this is where we've got a really strong link together, and we could talk for hours about music. Just putting it out there if anyone wants to put it out there. But go ahead, Andrea.
Well, I was just wondering, would it be okay to share? It links in the destiny and the music story. Rich, is it okay if I share the connection of how?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Just going back to, you know, destiny, fate, and all of that, and I am a firm believer in our soul's journey along the ride of our human journey, but I think that they're somewhat different. And I met these two great guys on, what's it called?
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse, that's it. And I had a chat with Sam, but I hadn't met you, Rich, really.
You can call me Rash, darling. You can call me Rash.
Oh, I know. I went from Richard to Rich, now to Rash. So I'll get there in the end, right? So I might go from Sam to Sammy to Samuel yet. Anything can happen.
So go ahead.
So yeah, and so anyway, so we decided to connect up and have a chat. You know, that's what connection's all about. And if you listened in last week or you knew this week, you know, my life's journey has been that my first child was diagnosed with cancer at 2 days old, got him through that, and 3 years later became a widow. And in the process of that, of having my son who was quite unwell and not really knowing what might happen, I heard a song and I just put that in the back of my mind. It might sound really morbid, but this was just my coping mechanism. That if anything went wrong, that was the song that I would play at his funeral. And it so happened that obviously I used it 3 years later at my husband's funeral. And it was The Scientist from Coldplay. And my bridal waltz was Yellow from Coldplay for my first husband. So Coldplay is quite a connector for me. And it just so happened that after we got off the phone call from, you know, there's this Rash guy, or Richard at that stage, like, oh yeah, he's pretty cool, you know, he said he's been into music and stuff. So I did a bit of stalking on Instagram, and there's a photo of him with his crew and Coldplay, like, so presenting an award to Coldplay. So when we talk about fate or destiny or whatever it is, I believe that we have a hand in it, but I also very much believe that we are being directed by an external connection. You can call that what you will. I call it the universe. But that a lot, for me, a lot of the time is being able to, that success and stuff comes from basically being able to connect to, what am I here for? Like, what is my destiny? Like, why have I been put on this earth having these experiences? And to me, that just confirmed that for whatever reason it was, Rash, him and I were meant to connect right at this time, right at this moment, for whatever reason. And that was my indicator, because the week before we met, I'd actually sat on the beach and spoken to my husband, like my first husband, hadn't spoken to him for a long time, and just said to him, I just need some guidance. I know that I'm here to support people and to be able to help them through their stuff. And I know that I want to be able to speak and share my story. I'm not a marketer's bootlace, to be honest. I hate marketing, and maybe that you've got to watch what your tongue says, right? But marketing's not my jam. I just like to show up and be real and help people feel safe so they can work out their stuff. And I feel like 2 days, and then 2 days later we met, Rash, and I feel like there's no coincidence in that whatsoever, that you were put in my life at that time for whatever reason, so that, you know, we could maybe together or somehow, you know, support the world in being who they need to be. So big, long, boring story, guys, but music, destiny, fate, it's a real thing. So yeah.
And Coldplay is a cracking band, and I had the pleasure of working with them, and that was amazing. And that was the link. She stalked me. She's gone onto Instagram. She's seen me with Coldplay presenting them an award, and there you go. And now we've become really, really close friends. And it's amazing how those sort of small things create that. Listen, guys, we're gonna wrap up shortly. Some final words. We haven't had many comments on what the topic is, so I might take the carte blanche executive decision, and we'll leave it as a surprise. But I think you might know what next week's topic will be. Sam, you got anything to add here? And I really wanted someone to come on today, to be honest, and give it a crack, and we can actually really help people. And those, again, please like, share. I don't care about how many. To be perfectly honest, we don't really care of how many followers we get and all this stuff. We're all about engagement with even if it's 5 people, and we can engage and we can help people. Seriously, that's what we're trying to do, you know. So we just want to engage and help people. What's this? We've got a comment here from Rocco. Is it normal that sometimes to feel down but not fight it and actually enjoy it? It helps you reset. That's a really interesting one.
Can I jump on that?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump on that.
I'm freezing, my brother, but go ahead.
How's it now? It's okay?
It's all good in the neighborhood.
Good. Well, listen, I'm gonna take off probably, I mean, this is something probably from what Andrea may say, I'm not sure, but I have this funny feeling, because it happens to me, and let me know if it happens to you. When something negative happens, there's, in a really weird way, there's something strangely attractive to it. And we hang around the negativity. It's almost like, you know what? It's almost a victim mentality to some degree. And I think that's where it's rooted from, where I'm going to sit with this. You know, it's almost like you have to put in your time with it. You know, and so the more you think about it, the more justified it becomes. I'm not sure if you can resonate, people, or understand where I'm coming from, but I feel that when something bad happens, or some sort of a struggle or pain, I feel that I need to sit with it a little longer, almost to justify its presence. And the reason that when I was reading Rocco's statement was, there's a difference. If I sit with it too long, then it's definitely becoming a victimhood, okay? But if I can sit with it just long enough to make some sort of peace with it, then that will allow me to move beyond it. So that would be like my gut instinct response to Rocco's comment, because why do we keep hanging around negative things or negative people or toxic people? I used to work for an agency years ago for 5 years. It was a toxic place. It ended up being a toxic place, but I was still there. And so there was something about it that made it feel familiar. And so if it was familiar, I was safe, even though it was toxic. And I know a lot of marriages as well happen for long periods, and they can't stand one another, but they're still with each other. And so they know very well that it's not working out. They hang on, and maybe it's time to go, or maybe it's just time to understand the difference.
Sam, that's a whole topic there. You just opened up a can of worms. Let's not go there.
Can
Listen,
I
we're going to wrap
just
up.
one quick second, just to really put another. I'm not going to take it down another path.
And then there's a comment I need you to look at after that, and then we're going to wrap up. Go ahead.
I did a course last year, and we are addicted. We can become addicted to feeling like crap because of the chemical releases we get. So this is not just this is a whole physiological thing that we're talking about. Like, we release chemicals that our brain is addicted to. And so it's not just as let's snap out of it. There's deeper stuff that goes on there. But I absolutely resonate with what Rocco said in terms of, feeling lower, and then it helps me reset. I really resonate with that I've learned to allow myself to be okay in the shadows. I just don't stay there. I look at it as an opportunity to go deeper into what's going on here. Like, why do I feel like this? What can I do to, come back out? So I think it's definitely a place for me personally to reset. So I definitely understand that. Yeah.
Great. Just one more thing here from Moritz. He's saying, I've suffered with depression my entire life. These days I give him a name. So he's looking at a different perspective. He's my best friend. Yes, it works for me. Now, I don't know what he means by, like, is it working for me, or is it actually like his employer, it's working for me? But I can go either which way.
I presuppose.
Blanket he's calling it.
Well, that's presupposing. Well, it's a depression story. He started off with a sentence with depression. So the fact that you are labeling that depression and calling it a friend, and this is just my view, of course, if it's serving you, I'm not sure how it will, but if it is serving you and everything's totally fine, then that's your choice, of course. If it started, and I'm basically coming from the presupposition that you've mentioned it was a depression. So if you're labeling it and calling it your friend, I'm not sure if it's much of a good friend to keep around if it's something of depression. That's all I'm saying. Now, I will give that disclaimer that if it's you've made peace with it, if that's what you mean, you've made peace with it and moving on, and things are still good and you're healthy, then cool. Everyone can choose whatever they want to choose that helps serve them for growth and for a better life. So, but I will have to say, as a caveat, if we're labeling depression, stress, anxiety with the name, then what we're reinforcing is its presence in our life. So if we want to get rid of it, really, then we need to remove it, really, or perhaps give it another name and reframe that name to something like moving on from, or moving towards, or out of, in that case, if you understand my point.
Hey, listen, we're going to wrap up. This has been, what's this? He's saying, yes, I look at it as made peace. Love you, bro. Thank you. We love you too, Moritz, every week. And this guy is an amazing guy. Anyone that doesn't know him, follow Moritz. He's probably got the biggest heart I've met. I've known him for maybe 20 odd years. Big love. Big shout out. Big shout out to Rocco. who does the jumper punch tonight. Anyone that wants to watch it, it's on the Blues Abroad page. It is one of the most entertaining football shows, variety shows out there. I'm going to plug that for you. Listen, I think, and we're getting great comments. People are loving the show. Andrea, I want you on here as much as possible, Dal. Seriously. So I'm going to put it out there.
But this isn't the Rash show. This is the Sam and Rash show. So
well, it's Andrea show now.
It's, you know, Aussies versus Canadians or whatever we want to do it. But look, seriously, and I'm sure that people in the comments will agree. We love having you on, and I'd love to see you on. And just give people a bit of a plug of where they can find you, and then we'll wrap up. And
before you do, Andrea, in the comments, guys, root for Andrea. That's it. Thanks, Lana. Root for Andrea down in the comments. Say we want Andrea to join our show.
Oh, come on. Bless you.
In the comments,
I love it. Like, I don't know if people can tell how much I love talking about this stuff and love just seeing people just go, oh yeah, man. Like it's this whole, like, can we see how amazing we each are? That's what I want people to be able to see within themselves, whether they've got a depression that they call their friend, or whether they've, you know, they just get knocked back 20 steps every time they try to take 10. Like, regardless of what goes on out there, I really hope that people can feel that within themselves from coming in here and having us, you know, talk and share and stuff, that in our own way, it doesn't matter what we've been through or what's happening. We are awesome. And that's what I want to know. So thank you for giving me the opportunity, because I do love it. So,
and by the way, just one thing, Sam, because we've got a lot of Aussies that are watching. The word root, you can't use. You can't use it, mate.
Anything, but yeah.
It's an American thing. Root for us means something else, and I can't say it online, but it means something you wouldn't. Yeah, you know, root for Andrea could be taken in a different perspective here.
Quite an intimate word.
A big hello to Chris Beachy, the librarian, another fellow Carlton supporter. Much love. He's a great guy also. So, Andrea, before we wrap up, because we've gone way over, we've made an executive decision online right now. You got to join us anytime. You're free to join us.
Okay.
And look at that, saying female balance to the boys.
Yeah, no worries. The feminine, masculine, isn't it? So we all got to have that nice balance of thinking and feeling, and it's all good. It's all good.
We needed that.
So just tell people where they can find you, Andrea. And aside from finding you on Tuesdays with us, we're just giving you the job.
Sure. No worries. That was easy, wasn't it? You don't want me to do like an interview or anything. So yeah, I have a Facebook page, Instagram page, and website, and it's under Andrea Gullick. So just GULLICK. I just feel my heart in writing pretty much there, but obviously I do what you guys do, hold space for people, create group work if people need that sort of thing. Like we said last week, moving into working with teenagers, because obviously the world crisis at the moment means that there's a lot of teenagers in particular with identity crisis. So yeah. No worries. Let's get him in a dress. Right, no. Yeah, come on. I'm sure you don't have hairy legs at all. You'll be fine.
No, I don't, because I shave them. Well, yeah, that's why. But anyway, that's another topic. Let's not get there. Yeah. You know, and just to make it official, we've made you into a Carlton supporter. So just put it
no worries. I'll run that by hubby tonight. You know.
Yeah, no, don't worry. Okay. I'm sure that'll work well. Sam, as we wrap up, final words, like, share, etc., and where they can find us, and let's wrap up, and we can talk about next week. Stay tuned. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Mate.
So great. Listen. So we're wrapping up. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. It was lovely to have you. Getting your comments. We've hope we've answered many of them or all of them, and helped in some way for a brighter day. And so we're moving forward. Thanks to Andrea as well for joining us. Always giving lots of love and inspiration. And the show is basically called HIT. So get your HIT. HIT being human investment technology, because we feel we all have the technology that we can do whatever we want, really. And so if we can help people, that's really our purpose for this show. Please like and share, forward, or mention it to people so they can also come in. Give us, please, as much of your attention, if you will, and we'll try to make this maybe 2 shows in a week. Who knows? We're going to come up next week with a new show. We've got a few ideas based on today on what we'd like to talk about. If there's something specific, feel free to send in the messages or in the through Messenger or some of the comment areas. And we're moving forward. That's what HIT is all about. So get your HIT because it's all about where you place your investment. And we believe humans are the most important investment because through us being conscious beings, we have that power to live in a better world, make better decisions for ourselves and for those around us. And so I want to leave you with that. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate that. And thanks, Andrea and Rich, once again.
Nice. Thanks.
All right, very good. Well, I'm going to wrap it up, guys. Thanks again. Very, very good. One thing we might do also, because I've got a few of my friends that watch this, it's very Carlton-centric. So we're not going to make it too Carlton-centric, but we might talk about sports in the field of sports and stuff like that and how that can relate. So we can, do that. Much love to everyone. Andrea, we'll see you next week because I think we might be doing music. So
no worries. I'll be there.
Yeah. And then we've just had one more comment, hypnotism, which we can do online also. I want to do this next week. Anyone that comes into the episode that's got a headache or even a phobia, I'm happy to do it live and get rid of it. So both of us will. Anyway, Andrea, stick around after the show because we're going to have a quick chat and wrap up. Guys, thanks for watching. Really, really appreciate it. Like, share, really. So you can, it's not about our page. We don't really, we just want to like, share. You might be able to help people by people seeing this, watching this, getting inspiration from Andrea, Sam, and myself. This is what we want to do. That's pretty much it. So there's a whole bunch of comments I'm going to just put on there. Go Tigers, no. All right, cool. So we're out of here. Thanks again. Au revoir. Bye, guys.
Yeah.